Now that we've discussed exposure, let's explore camera shooting modes. Use the mode dial to select from a series of automatic shooting options or manual shooting options. These modes are found on the camera's mode dial. Each of the mode settings is represented by a letter or a universal symbol. The automatic modes are usually represented by an icon, while the manual modes are represented by letters. The first mode we'll look at is the fully automatic mode, which is usually represented by a green rectangle or the word auto. In fully automatic mode, the camera selects all exposure settings for you, so all you have to do is point and shoot. Auto mode is not necessarily the best mode to use in every setting because it uses a standard generic setting that doesn't always represent the lighting condition you're shooting in. Another automatic mode on the mode dial is portrait mode. This is usually represented by a side silhouette icon. In portrait mode, the camera selects a large aperture, small f-stop, which will cause a sharp focus on your selected subject while leaving the background blurred. This type of picture is considered a short depth of field picture because there are parts of the picture that remain out of focus. The next automatic mode we'll look at is the landscape mode. This mode is represented by a mountain icon. In landscape mode, the camera automatically selects a small aperture setting like f/16, a large f-stop, which creates a large depth of field, keeping everything in focus. The next auto mode is close-up or macro setting, which is usually represented by a flower icon. This setting keeps the aperture at a low or medium setting, which keeps the up-close image in clear focus and leaves a blurred background. The next mode is the sports setting, represented by the action figure. In this setting, the camera's shutter will be set at a higher, faster number in order to help capture fast-moving objects with minimum motion blur. The final two settings on the mode dial control the camera's flash. The first is the night scene mode, which sets a slow shutter speed with a flash to illuminate the foreground and background. The last automatic setting we'll look at is the flash off option. This allows you to disable any internal or external flash when you want to take a picture with a slow shutter speed or super fast shutter speed. Remember that when you use the camera's automatic modes, you're putting some limitations on your camera's ability. Automatic modes are great to use in a pinch when you're in a hurry, but to unlock your camera's true potential, practice using the manual modes. So if your camera doesn't have a mode that we covered, not to worry. You can set up any of these shooting modes manually. The manual settings are represented with letters. The first manual setting is the Programmed Auto Exposure mode, which is marked with the letter P on the mode dial. This mode is similar to the auto mode, but Programmed Auto mode lets you access some of the manual controls on the camera, like setting the ISO or selecting a particular aperture and shutter speed. The next manual mode setting is represented by an S or TV. This is the camera's shutter priority setting. In shutter priority, the camera will calculate the aperture based off the shutter speed value you select. It also takes into account your set metering method and ISO setting. The next manual mode is aperture priority mode, and it's represented by an A or AV. In this mode, you will select the aperture or f-stop, and the camera will calculate the correct shutter speed for the exposure. This mode also takes into account your metered value and ISO setting. Typically, the last creative shooting mode on the mode dial is the M mode for manual. This mode gives the user complete control over the camera. In this mode, you will set your own aperture value, shutter speed, ISO, and metering setting. This mode enables you to adapt whatever scheme you want to capture your picture. The more you practice shooting pictures in the manual modes, the more you'll see improvement in your pictures. Once you're comfortable with your camera's shooting modes, you can start analyzing what illuminates and sculpts your subjects. Light,